Archiving started.
In this set of slides, we'll just be looking at the testis slide. So it's the only male reproductive organ you'll be studying through the microscope. On this first one, what you're looking at is the inside of one of the lobules in a testis. So it's really important that you look in your lab book or a lecture book in the exercises or the chapter on the male reproductive system, and make sure you understand what I'm talking about when I say the lobule within the testis. In there, you see a lot of coiled up tubes that are called seminiferous tubules. And on this slide, we can see seminiferous tubules like there's one and here's one. So all of these openings that you see are the seminiferous tubules. You see one there. Of course, I didn't circle that just perfectly, but you see several seminiferous tubules. So the arrow is right in the middle of all of these seminiferous tubules. All right, this is where sperm cells are made. Sperm cells are actually produced through mitotic and meiotic cell division that is in this epithelium. It's a very thick layer of cells that lines each seminiferous tubule, and that epithelium is known as the germinal epithelium. In just a moment, we'll see this on a higher power, and we'll see a little bit more detail on these cells that produce the sperm cells. So that process of sperm cell production that's in the seminiferous tubules is called spermatogenesis. So the sperm would be one of the products produced by this organ, the testis. The other product would be hormones. And the hormones are produced by cells in between the seminiferous tubules. And I'm pointing to these areas in between the seminiferous tubules. The cells there produce hormones like testosterone. Okay, if we move to a higher view of this same slide, you should be able to see the seminiferous tubules much more easily. Here you can see the germinal epithelium. So it's just all of the lining of the tubule. Everything that you see except the space in the middle would be the germinal epithelium, and that's where the sperm cells are produced. And then in between the seminiferous tubules would be the cells that produce testosterone. In your lecture class, you learned that those cells are called interstitial cells or cells of Leydig, Leydig, cells of Leydig. Those are the ones that produce testosterone. And then the spermatogenic cells are the ones of the seminiferous tubules. So it would be all of these cells. And they're in various stages of meiotic development. Okay, now here's another slide stained with the same type of stain, but here you can see that sometimes you don't just see the cross sections of the seminiferous tubules. On this one here you can see one that they're just real curled up tubes, and so you see a good lengthwise view of that one. Now this is a slide on high power magnification, and I'm just going to draw a blue line through the depths of germinal epithelium. At the base of that line, let's put some arrows on it. These cells are the ones that are the spermatogonia, which in lab you don't have to name these individual cells. I'm just giving you a heads up on your lecture. But those are the spermatogonia, and those are the ones that will divide through mitosis and enlarge to produce the primary spermatocytes, which is what you see right here. And then the primary spermatocytes go through meiosis, and then you see several stages of meiotic cells until finally at the lumen you see the little nuclei or the heads of the sperm cells. So you can see those there. So these are immature sperm. You can almost see the flagella extending into the lumen from that. On this seminiferous tubule that you see in the bottom left, these little dark dash-like structures, those are the nuclei. Now, I believe this is from a mouse, so the sperm nucleus is long and thin. It's not more rounded like it is in a human, but you still can see the immature sperm cells there. Now, in between the seminiferous tubules are these cells of Leydig. So here you're seeing them right here. And they are producing testosterone. So here we see others. So those are the interstitial cells or cells of Leydig. This next slide, you easily can see the immature sperm cells, and you can see their nuclei extended out into the lumen. And I can tell this is mouse sperm because you can see the little long, skinny, hook-like nucleus. So that was a little different than in humans. Now, on our next slide, this one is a different slide. I actually pulled this one from a Google image search, which you can always do on these slides, and it's amazing what you can see. But in this one, they have the cells actually labeled for you. So you can see there's spermatogonia. So here would be one, here would be one. And then they don't have the primary spermatocytes labeled here, but there they are. And you can see this looks like it's an early prophase, doesn't it? So that's in that early meiotic division. And then the immature sperm cells are these spermatids that you see. Some of them are in earlier stages than others, like these down here that don't have a nucleus yet. They still have a good bit of cytoplasm, but by the time it makes its way to the lumen, it tends to lose a lot of the cytoplasm and develop a flagellum. Now, again, in the spaces in between the seminiferous tubules, you see the cells that will produce testosterone. Okay, so if I'll erase this, I think what I'll do is just draw a blue line around the boundary of one of these seminiferous tubules. So there's one, and then here's a little, well, if I can draw it, there we go, a little piece of another one. So all of this lighter purple, that would be where seminiferous tubules are. And then in between, in the darker pinkish purple area, would be the interstitial spaces. Okay, this next slide is the last one in this little series. And again, I got this one from a Google image, got everything labeled. Again, you do not have to label these individual cells for lab. You do need to know when you look at these slides that you're looking at seminiferous tubules from the testis, and you need to know what process occurs there. And that process would be spermatogenesis. Okay, so that will be good for this series. Now, after you've studied exercise 50, you'll want to go to 51, and we'll look at some slides of the ovary.
Archive recording has been